Oh, today I'm continuing my watch. I think I mentioned in the last video that I took one of the sides off the watch and that I was going to put my initials into the side. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's a very, very small drill there to make a hole so that I can get my fret saw in there, cut out the inside of a D. My initials are DSH. Difficult initial always tends to be S. Here though, it's quite small, so I'm not doing quite as detailed an S as I would normally do. I'm just hinting at the S, and I'm using some very fine saw blades. They're 0.18 millimeters thickness and 33 teeth per centimetre, so they are quite delicate, easy to break. I did buy a few different grades of saw blades, and I realised that the ones that I was using originally, they had very few teeth and they were a bit thicker, and they were tending to grip the material too much, which is why maybe some of my sawing looks a little bit awkward. The mid-size blades that I've got, I think they're grade 6, or they've got numbers from 2 and 6 I bought. One of them's the thin that I'm using at the moment. The other one's like a medium, and they saw much better. So here I'm just cleaning up the surface a bit. I put the vertical lines between the letters using my saw blade. Quite easy to slip and put scratches in the surface of the metal. Here I've got the saw blade in there again, and I'm just trying to clean out some of the insides of these letters, make them nice and neat. I did actually break that tiny little drill broke off when I was doing one of the S's, but I managed to get the drill bit out, and I don't think there's any real damage done. And now this is soldering it onto the side of the case again. I've got one pair of tweezers in the middle trying to protect that little lug from any heat. I've got my other tweezers up the other end of the side that I'm soldering, and I'm going to solder one side at a time. It's always disconcerting the colour that this metal turns. It's obviously it gets rather hot, and I don't want to melt anything. And then suddenly the solder runs and fills the space at the start, so I can do the other side there now, and that's me doing the other end. I've got tweezers everywhere, three pairs of tweezers. One's holding it down at the end that I'm soldering, one's protecting that lug in the middle, and the other one's keeping it straight and protecting the solder joint I just did. So that's all precarious. And I notice how hot the ends of these tweezers get. It's stainless steel. I don't think I'm going to melt it, but they do sell titanium tweezers and tungsten tweezers, and I think the titanium ones take the heat rather well. So maybe I should have a pair of titanium tweezers when I'm doing this sort of thing. I always think that I'm ruining a good pair of tweezers because they end up all charred at the end, and they're nice sharp new tweezers, which I put that collar on. So maybe I should have another pair for this kind of thing. You normally see tweezers all over a jeweller's bench. I don't know how many pairs of tweezers I'm supposed to have, but now I'm soldering the inside of the case, a bit of silver along the side. It's probably unnecessary to put sides on this silver thing, but it feels like it's going to help that centre piece be seated nicely, and it's going to add weight to the watch. This watch is probably going to be quite heavy when it's done. It's full of silver and gold, which are heavy metals, and there's not going to be that much room inside the watch, as in like air pockets and things. So it's probably going to be quite a heavy thing. Now I'm soldering the other side. This was awkward to actually get it to align nicely so that I could solder it. Here I've got my third hand holding a pair of tweezers vertically and holding the piece that I'm soldering, so that it's balancing. But then there was a gap between the two pieces of material, so I actually put a piece of silver underneath, which changes the angle and means that gap's closed. Finally I managed to solder that. Now, being careful not to burn my hands on anything hot, I dip that in water and that will cool it off. So here, now my centerpiece doesn't fit in between those two sides, so it's a case of keep offering it up, see what's touching, shave a little bit of material off, rinse and repeat. Quite a long-winded thing. You want this to be held between those two side walls in a way that it can't move and that it's perfectly central. And so that is my work for today. I'll return to it and do some more tomorrow. And that's just trying to take down the height of those side walls slightly. Thanks for watching.